Patrick Mahomes practicing and pretty much in full, looking a little hampered, but he's ready to go. There are a lot of people thinking Pat Mahomes is going to be ultra hampered on Sunday. He won't be the same. Michael K. CPA first in the building. Michael K. Appreciate you. File on in, hit the thumb up button. Get ready. The Fantasy Football Show is about to begin. But we're going to be talking Pat Mahomes. We're going to be talking Joe Cigar Smoking Burrow. We'll be talking about that Niner-Eagle matchup. These are the best four teams we could have possibly drew up, in my opinion. The most exciting Final Four bracket we could have dreamed up. The tough Eagle D versus a very tough, probably the best defense in the entire National Football League in the San Francisco 49er defense. We got a running, scrambling quarterback. The Niners traditionally struggle with running quarterbacks. That matchup's going to be fire. It's going to be a dogfight. Anybody coming in here saying, oh, they're going to get blasted. This is going to come down to the final minutes. It's got to be one of those games. This KC Chief Bengal game still going to be a battle for no matter who wins. But you know, we got our boy Joe Burrow. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.
You know we got Joe Burrow winning that game, but how close of a game will it be? Could Mahomes upset and scramble around somewhat hampered, not as hampered as people started predicting? Oh, he's got a high ankle sprain. People running their mouth about high ankle sprains. Your boy Smitty's got the models. Your boy Smitty's got the knowledge. We're doing all of that and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What is up, good people? Your boy Smitty here to help you, feed your fix of Fantasy Football 2023 content, the playoff content, everything. We are here to let you know who's breaking out in 2023, who's going to dominate in the fantasy football playoffs. Maybe we even do a little prediction show. Maybe we drop some predictions on every single player playing. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. I'll drop an actual stat line for every single player. I believe we're going to drop a Moon Man either tonight or tomorrow. I said it'd probably be today. So if I do drop a Moon Man, it will be this evening, or I will create a video that I'll post-produce, drop it on a premiere in the morning around noon. So get ready for that. I'm super excited to release these next Moon Men. And for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, they're saying Moon Men. What on earth is Smitty talking about Moon Men?
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
You are looking at the biggest values in fantasy football 2023. You're looking at Bijan Robinson. You're looking at Garrett Wilson. You're looking at Chris Olave, Jahmyr Gibbs, rookie running back, Zach Charbonnet, rookie running back, Breece Hall. Why is Breece Hall on this list, Smitty? I'll tell you in 1 second. Christian Watson and the 2023 QB, whoever it may be, in Miami. And there's so much tied to that. And, you know, you might have somebody like a negative Noah come in here and say, Smitty, what good's that? We don't know who that's going to be. How's that going to help me? Because if you think like the inverse of a Moon Man and bold prediction, how does it help you? Well, maybe if I'm telling you that the quarterback, whether it be Tom Brady, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, whether it be Lamar Jackson in a tag and trade, whether it be one of those three individuals, which I firmly believe it will be, that player will be so good because they're so much better than Tua. Tua was mediocre to good, turned good, almost great in a Miami Mike system. So basically what I'm telling you is go get Tyreek Hill. Go get Jalen Waddle. Go do it now before it's too late, because the quarterback's on the Moon Man list, baby.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
Space monsters indeed. But Smitty, what about the Mars Man? Didn't you used to have Mars Men, Smitty? We absolutely do.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars men. Loads dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
Mars men, baby. This list, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound very overly confident and arrogant, but these two lists feel like they're locks. It feels like taking candy from a baby walking into 2023. It feels like we're playing with the Gray's Book Sports Almanac from Back to the Future, and everybody else is just playing chess while we're playing 3D checkers and Monopoly at the same time. And so I'm extremely excited. Oh, someone wants to know about the planet Uranus men.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
Yeah. Here are your two first planet Uranus. And no, there are not rings around Uranus. There are, 27, 29 moons that are around planet Uranus right now. These two individuals have already made camp and created camp on the moon, or on one of the moons, or on Uranus. We're not sure where, but they are lingering around this planet somewhere already. We'll be adding more individuals to the planet Uranus list. As for Patty Mahomes, to get the news of the day out of the way, we've got Patty Mahomes' ankle was a full participant in practice Wednesday. He looked a little bit hampered, some reports said, naturally, because he suffered a ankle sprain, a high ankle sprain, which so many, I don't know what you'd call them. You'd call them fantasy football, medical, I don't know what you call. I have a couple buddies in the fantasy football medical, space. This is not a knock to all of them, but you got people that just run out and they don't have experience with football and fantasy football to the degree that your boy Smitty or any other people have, and they come out just because they have the anatomy down and they don't know how the injuries respond to players or seen it over the course of 20 years. Look, this was not a high ankle sprain. There were people initially reporting he won't be able to play it. Don't be so quick to think he's going to play. He didn't have a severe high ankle sprain. He had a mild high ankle sprain, a mild, not anything close to severe, not anything close to the variety that takes people off the field for 6 weeks. This was a mild high ankle sprain. Very, very courageous of him to go out there and play. A lot of players would have sat down and not gave it a go. He's a trooper. He's a warrior. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but everyone keeps claiming it's a high ankle sprain of the severe variety. It's not. There are different levels of ankle sprains across the high ankle, low ankle, mid ankle, foot. You could tear your MCL. It could be a grade 1, a grade 2, a grade 3. You could be like Lamar Jackson, have a PCL injury. Well, what's that mean? Well, it depends on the grade. We found out it's borderline 2, 3, 3 meaning so severe that he probably needs surgery, and the PCL isn't even doing any good. It's loose, like a loose rubber band in there when you're talking about something like a grade 3 with the ACL or the PCL in the knee. Here's the knee model. His PCL was a borderline grade. It's a grade 2, borderline 3, which means he almost needed surgery, which means his PCL was almost useless in there, stretched out and not holding that knee joint tight. There are so many things that go into injuries, and I just want to clarify that he's playing. He didn't play this into a severe high ankle sprain either. That was a possibility. Playing on a mild high ankle sprain could have turned it into a severe, but it didn't. He's going to be out there. He's going to be a little bit hampered. He won't be quite himself. He won't be quite able to scramble the way he normally does. I believe he can plant and throw. I don't think he'll have to do the throwing on his front foot only. He's had a lot of time. He'll have a lot of time at the end of the day to heal us enough to be able to stand on it. The problem will be, my prediction is that if he gets tackled and wrapped up at the ankle level, there could be some situation where he's rolling around on the ground for a little bit, gets up, does continue to play, but he gets kind of sent back to the version of Mahomes we saw at the end of the last game where he's hopping around, he's struggling. So if he isn't fully protected and if he gets wrapped up, that ankle could get back to reality, which is that borderline where it's not severe, but he keeps playing on it and it could turn into a severe ankle sprain, high ankle sprain. But for right now, it seems like there shouldn't be a lot of worry as to how much it will affect this man on the field. 50 people to 70 people in here right now, please punch that thumb up button. There wasn't a lot of news today other than coaching interviews and things like that. This little number right here, Geno Smith, the GM for the Seahawks, reiterating that the team has a desire to re-sign Geno this offseason. There's no doubt they want him on the roster. The question is, will they say, hey, we want you on the roster, but we're going to bring in probably a bigger name player that you can compete with, but we want to bring him in. Maybe they bring in Derek Carr. Maybe they don't bring in anybody and they say, let's build around Geno Smith. The question you got to ask yourself, he played at a top 6 to 10 level, like all year pretty much, and we still kind of doubt him. We still are not giving this man the respect he deserves. I admit it. I'm not giving him top 6 to 10 respect. I'm not ranking him in my top 10 quarterbacks, and he played that way. And if he gets retained, I admit I probably won't have him in my top 10 quarterbacks. He'll be borderline, but he played well enough that I'm asking myself, what am I doing? Is it Pete Carroll that turned Russell Wilson into Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson turned into a pumpkin the moment he arrived in Denver? The question will be, let's say they bring in a really good elite, coaching staff as a whole in Denver, and they clean it up and they start, creating a new foundation of coaching that can transcend for more than 1, 2, 3. Like, they're trying to build something, right? Let's say they bring in the right people. Can Russell Wilson show signs of what he used to be? Because we do know, like, we can look back objectively and say Russell Wilson was really good. Russell Wilson was really, really good at one point. But was it Pete Carroll? Because Geno Smith wasn't really, really good. And what happened? Russell Wilson left. He played horribly. Geno Smith stepped up. He looked like Russell Wilson. So you got to ask yourself, is it Pete Carroll? Is it 100% Pete Carroll? Maybe Russell Wilson's good. I mean, he's got accuracy and things that, we've seen raindrop, touchdown throws that other quarterbacks in the NFL just can't make. So there's talent there. But is he capable of living and surviving outside of Pete Carroll? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't want to say he can't, like 100%. Never say never. The right coach could get, like Dable. Give Dable Russell Wilson, and all of a sudden he's a top 5 quarterback again. I have to leave room for that kind of scenario. Maybe, Dable did such an amazing job with Danny Dimes, who we talked about. Dable helped with Josh Allen's development, and if anybody can make Danny Dimes great, it's Dable. I said that several times in the offseason, but I said, kind of feel like he's not the right quarterback. I kind of feel like if he does go down this road, he won't have the same success. And it wasn't quite the same success as Josh Allen. But I admit that this guy, Dable, knows what he's doing. Pete Carroll knows what he's doing. No matter who they get, as long as they're good, they could become great, even if they're not great. And so I don't have a lot of hope for Russell Wilson. I would rather have Geno Smith than Russell Wilson in 2023. And that's hard to say because I love Javonte Williams, who we haven't heard anything positive yet in terms of recovery, which is why there are 2 red flags in place to prevent me from loving Javonte the way that I still love Breece Hall.
Get Breece. Get Breece. Get
Moon men dropping loads in outer space.
Breece Hall, the most recent Moon Man edition.
Space Moon says.
And people say, Smitty, you always say, Smitty, hey, Smitty, you tell me that ACLs, Smitty, ACLs, you can't come back from a torn ACL their first year and be productive. I never said such a thing in my life. If you might be listening to me, but I don't think you're hearing me. I'm sure we all hear that a lot from our wives and significant others. You're there listening, but you have no idea what I'm saying, do you? And we're just staring off at the TV or watching the show. Yeah, you're watching this show right now. Your wife's talking in your ear right now, and you have no idea. You just look over in mid-sentence, if you're like me, mid-sentence, you see this mouth opening and closing, and you're like, holy good God, I think this woman's in mid-sentence. This woman's in mid-sentence, and I have no idea where this is going. I have to quickly decipher what she's saying at the tail end of this to try and piece it together. Kind of like the different camera angles on the field can piece together a 360 angle. As a man, we turn and we see our wife talking or our significant other talking, and we're like, good God, I hope I have different angles at the end of this final piece that I am hearing, and I can put it together and understand what's going on so I don't have to say, what? What? That's the way your boy Fitty, your boy Smitty, your boy Smitty feels, and it's like I don't know, tangent. We're off on a tangent. Breece Hall, that's what I was gonna say. People take what I say and they partially listen to it. There's one thing you'll always hear from me, year after year after year after year. Multiple red flags. Run for the door. And no, I'm not talking about your significant others or wives. I'm back into football mode. Fitty Smitty. I'm back into football mode. Okay, we're not talking about significant others. Please don't take that the wrong way. And your significant other looks over and goes, red flags. Did he just call me a red? You're not watching this show anymore. Hit that button. Turn that show off right now. I'm not talking about you. Wives and significant others. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying if a player has multiple red flags, I guess this could apply to some of the relationships out there. Apply it as needed. If a player has multiple red flags, injured, coming back from a season-ending injury like an Achilles or an ACL or something that's like, okay, we gotta figure out what this player is gonna look like coming back, right? That's one huge red flag. Something small, high ankle sprain, Cooper Kupp's injuries, not a concern. No red flags for Cooper Kupp. No red flags for, let's say, Jalen Hurts' shoulder, even though we're already not worried about it. You know, those kind of things, unless you hear something crazy, there's no reason to use that as a red flag. But an ACL tear, 100,000% a red flag. Does Breece Hall have a red flag? He certainly does. And he's trying to shake that flag free and get it off him. But once you have a second red flag, you run for the door. You run for the door. Maybe you monitor the player. Red flag number one for Javonte is we have no sign of early recovery, speedy recovery, ahead of recovery. We have no sign of that at all. And so that's a red flag. Number two, we have a horrible situation. Yes, Hackett's gone. That's good. But we have a quarterback that we don't know what he's capable of. We have an offense. We don't know where Javonte fits in. We still don't know, who's going to be calling the shots as far as, is this a running back by committee type of mind frame coming in? I hope to God they don't bring it up, running back by committee type of mindset. We have so many red flags. We have to step back on Javonte. Breece Hall has none of those. Breece Hall's ahead of schedule, almost shedding red flag number one. His situation's going to be fine. And yes, we don't know what his quarterback play is either. You could essentially say, Smitty, that sounds such a hypocritical type of thing to say when the Jets don't even have a quarterback at all, and at least the Denver Broncos have a quarterback, and they're trying to improve and make him better. It's a very good point. You make a very good point. Fictitious person standing in front of me, yelling at the keyboard and trying to type that, but I already beat you to it. I took your ammunition away. You can't even say it now. You know why? Because I predict that the Jets solved their quarterback spot. The Jets are too attractive of a landing spot for a quarterback like A-Rod, Brady, or Lamar through a tag and trade, or at least a Derek Carr, whose Derek Carr's in New York is better than Russell Wilson in Denver. I'm sorry. You can at me all you want. I don't care. Derek Carr, will he win your Super Bowl? Probably not. Probably not. But can Derek Carr deliver the football enough to where I'm not even worried about Garrett Wilson? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? 100%. I'm not worried about Derek Carr getting Garrett Wilson the football. There are better scenarios. I want Brady. I want A-Rod. I especially want A-Rod in New York. New York, I could see A-Rod in a green attire right now. Stepping back, A-Rod, green attire, green helmet, I can see it. Garrett Wilson, you look a lot like Christian Watson when you run your routes, young man. Let's test it out. Oh God, that looked good. Can I call you Christian Watson? Garrett Wilson might be called Christian Watson. He wants to bring Christian Watson with him, but he's got it Garrett Wilson. And guess what? Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson, they're both on the Moon Man list, so it doesn't even matter. Aaron Rodgers could stay in Green Bay and throw to a Moon Man, or he could travel to New York and throw to a Moon Man.
The Moon Man.
Or
dropping loads in
or
space.
He could become a Moon Man himself in the silhouette of the Miami Dolphin quarterback silhouette. It seems like Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a match made in heaven no matter where he goes. If he stays, Christian Watson, great. If he goes, Garrett Wilson, amazing. If he goes, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, fantastic. If he goes, Las Vegas gets his old buddy boy back, and Aaron Rodgers and Javonte Adams pick up where they left off. And that relationship will blossom like it was before. So Aaron Rodgers, out of all the quarterbacks, in my opinion, feels like he's got a red carpet right to one of those amazing situations. And the Green Bay Packers are fully in, I believe, Jordan Love mind frame mode. And I believe they have been. I believe they felt pressure to bring Aaron Rodgers back last year because of the fan base. And the fan base, however, in a very strange twist of events, doesn't really want A-Rod back as a whole. Maybe have to, but it's a growing percentage of people that want to move on. They want to rip off the Band-Aid and say, hey, let's move on. Let's move on. And that's fine. And I think Jordan Love's good enough, not great, good enough, like Derek Carr was good enough for Adams. Jordan Love's good enough for Christian Watson because Aaron Rodgers put him through Aaron Rodgers boot camp. And it's, we're going to have a commissioner boot camp, by the way, where if you want to be certified Smitty commissioner approved, you're going to have to go through my commissioner boot camp and not be a horrible commissioner who changes the rules on a whim and doesn't even get votes, and he makes rules that cater to him. We're doing that boot camp. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. And you could demand that your commissioner go through my boot camp so that you know, hey, I'm going to join your league. Whoa, wait a minute. Have you gone through Smitty's commissioner boot camp? This is not Smitty commissioner boot camp approved. I'm not joining your league. We'll make it a thing. We'll make it a movement. It's all about responsibility. Being a commissioner for your entire league. Not for you in your league, for your league. It's a commitment. It's a sacrifice. You don't get to make up what you want to do. Your league does. The best interest of the league. No rule changes mid-season. No, let's turn it into a super flex league because I happen to have two quarterbacks on my roster. That kind of commissioner. Those guys are trash. Those guys wouldn't make it through a Smitty commissioner boot camp even if they tried. And I don't know where. God, I get on a tangent. Breece Hall, ACL. Breece Hall's ACL recovery, speedy. Jet situation is good. Hall versus Javonte. I think that's where I was going. Totally different. Red flags are not present for Hall right now. Could they become? Could he have a setback? Could he have a cleanup surgery? Absolutely. And that's where we will address things as they come. That's why I say we adjust and adapt in fantasy football, and we must always adjust and adapt in fantasy football because it is vital to adjust and adapt in order to survive. People that hang on and dig their heels in to things that are changing and evolving and they're not recognizing it, those are the people that sink to the bottom of the ocean, of the fantasy abyss, and we're not going to let that happen to any of you. So on that note, we're heading into phone call mode. We got Zach Charbonnet. We got rookies to talk about.
The Moon Man, dropping loads in outer space.
I think I'm going to have a nice warm glass of Zach Charbonnet. Let's see if this is, let's do it. Let's do it. Zach Charbonnet to the moon. Let's go, broskies.
To the moon.
All right. Hit the phone line.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
This guy right here. Warm, bubbly. Warm bottle of Zach Charbonnet. Get Charbonnet. Get Charbonnet. Get Charbonneted. Do it. Do it live. Do it live.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
All right. Phone lines are open. Your boy Smitty will break down whatever. Make sure you watch my best draft strategy of 2023 video that is up right now. It's up right now. It's phenomenal. You will not be able to contain yourself. It is such an exciting draft approach, and it involves the pancake stack.
The stack above all stacks. It's time to drop the pancake emojis in the live chat.
So you get on over and watch that video after this show. Rock Out, you're live. What can I do for you, Rock Out?
When is your commissioner boot camp, and what are some nuggets you can give commissioners out here on the live?
Yeah, we're gonna be making sure that it's a mind frame when you're a commissioner that's gone through my boot camp, and it basically, the only thing I'll say is that it's gonna be about your people. Don't be about yourself. Too many commissioners make decisions for themselves. They're selfish, and you're not gonna do that. There'll be some sort of physical, test, sit-ups, push-ups, something like that involved as well. Get you in the right frame of mind. But stay tuned for that, Rock Out. Stay tuned for that. Real quickly, Rock Out. Hold on 1 second. Falcon 702. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Falcon.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Smitty? Had to kick off that mute for a second.
Earth the Falcon. Yes. What's up, Falcon? You're up in the skies right now? Is that why there's a little bit of a delay for you? Are you flying over the skies above?
A little bit.
What can we do for you, Falcon?
Yes, sir. Current champion here. Thanks to a lot of great advice.
Attaboy.
To the moon.
I got the number one spot coming up because the champions in my league get the number one spot, and
I like that.
Yeah, it's a 10-man league standard, and I already want to take Chase with my number one pick and try to round off and get that Burrow and that Moon Man package. But what would you say for the fourth and fifth pick?
I mean, there's so many different things could be, on the table at that point. So, like, you'd have to give me, like, scenarios, bro. But, I mean, rookies. I you know how much I love rookies just looking at the Moon Man. Best stack. Let me put this on here right here. Best stack. There you go.
Well, I guess the better question, would you try to hold out and take like Charbonnet later on and just stack up on another good tight end or receiver?
Well, I mean, it just depends. Best player available. So, like, as I've talked about on the most recent video, if you were drafting today, you'd have a pretty decent shot at getting Bijan at like 24. Just right now, it will not stay that way. He will climb literally a draft slot, like one or two draft slots, like every week. So, if you were to take Jamar Chase, which I totally am fine with, I think people are hilarious that think that's bad. And then Burrow right now you could probably get just right now at the 2-3 turn, and Bijan you could probably get at the 2-3 turn. So I don't know if you watched my video. Can you trade in your league?
No, I can't. But one advantage I do have in my league is no one ever takes a quarterback in my league higher than the fourth round. They always start around fourth or fifth round.
Okay, so take him in the third. Don't try and play that game back. In my opinion, I'd take him in the third, because if you get to the fourth round, you're the bottom of the fourth round. You're not going to get him. So I'm okay with this right here. Even if your league does that, that's still not early and it's still not jumping the gun. You're just leading the way. You might even trigger some kind of quarterback trend so that when you get to your pick right here, you have like 7 quarterbacks in between, and literally 2 running backs have gone and 2 wide receivers have gone between your Burrow pick and this pick right here. And that's where I think you could get a Gibbs, for example. So in this fourth round, if you were to draft early or you're drafting with grandmas, you could essentially pull this off right now today with grandmas in a grandma league. But Bijan's most certainly going to climb right here. In my opinion, not in your league, but in my opinion, Burrow's going to climb somewhere in the middle of round 2 to the end of round 2. So it might be very easy for you to get Chase and Burrow with the first rounder and the third rounder. Ziggy, show me the backyard. Okay. So you're probably gonna have no problem drafting Chase. Oh God, my Smitty's home. What time is it? 5:40. Ziggy off. You're gonna have no problem getting Chase and Burrow with your first rounder, your third rounder. So I don't know how easy Bijan's gonna get come draft day for you. If you could essentially go with a wide receiver like. I'm trying to think of some guys that will be available. It's so hard to know. ETN will be gone at running back. JT, who knows where JT falls? You're probably going to have your picks of one or two of these bigger name running backs that are falling off a lot of people's lists, like Dalvin Cook and Kamara and Chubb and all that. And I just don't love those guys.
I feel like Bijan will be available because my league does not like rookies at all. I had the pick of the litter last year. I had every rookie that there was.
Can you just send me an invite to your league and then I'll join it? Because good God, Burrow is ridiculous. Anytime before round 3, rookies don't learn anything. Like if you walk up and slap one of them, and then you walk up to them the next time, they're not expecting a slap. It's just like rinse and repeat. Like they just saw Hall Walker explode, and now you have the best running back to come out in the last 10 years, and they don't feel like, you don't think they're going to feel like, okay, maybe this is a second round running back? Like, it's crazy. But, bro, I mean, you're answering your own question. If you're telling me that your grandma league is going to allow you to draft Jamar Chase at 1 and Bijan, who could maybe get taken at the end of round 2, but for you, he's going to be there at 24. It's Burrow, Chase, Bijan, because I've been literally the last 48 hours smashing that into people's heads. I'll hit the Mars Men list real quick. Hold on.
He's on a shuttle to Mars. Mars Men.
This Mars Men list wins leagues, bro. You can get the Mars Men. You're telling me in your grandma league, you'll get the Mars Men with the first 3 picks. If you get Gibbs with his fourth pick, if you get... let's say you have back-to-backs here. So Gibbs and let's call it Christian Watson. Like, it sounds like your league's going to allow Watson to fall, bro. I don't know. Like, you would win your league. This is an absolute monster of a team. You could get Charbonnet instead of Gibbs if you want right there. And I don't know that Watson will fall, but in your league, it sounds like you will. This is 100% the best way to win your league. Mars Men, unbelievable. You could get Charbonnet, Gibbs, and Bijan. You could get 3 Moon Men running backs very, very easily, my guy. You could get Charbonnet, you could get Bijan, and you could also get Gibbied at the same time while having Jamar Chase and Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow. Unbelievable. People are getting burrowed left and right.
Breece Hall over any of those players.
Would I what?
Would you take Breece Hall?
I mean, look, if I was you, I would be very tempted to go Chase, Breece Hall, Bijan, and try and figure out do my best to roll the dice on getting at least Hurts, Mahomes, Burrow. Like, if you're telling me quarterbacks don't go to round 4, my problem with that though for you is that even if you're right, quarterbacks don't get touched till round 4. Will one of the 4, or at least Fields, be available at the end of round 4? Maybe they all go in round 4. I just don't know. If you could get Fields and get Breece Hall, I would be tempted to go Fields and Breece Hall over Burrow and not getting Breece Hall. But I don't know. I love the Chase Burrow idea for you, bro. I love it. But you want to go that route, I'm fine with that too. Fields at the Gibby pick in the 4th round and take Hall and Bijan. But I just don't think Hall is going to fall there. I think Hall is a top 10 running back. But you asked the question, would I take Hall over any one of those guys? Obviously not Chase. The answer is yes, but I don't think he'll fall. I don't think he'll be presented with that problem.
Well, I appreciate it. I only ask because my league is also scared of injuries. So when they see ACL, they run for the door.
Yeah. By the way, here it is. 1, 2, I'm not trying to run you off. First of all, welcome to the show. We'll send you to the moon. Just as a way of trying to welcome you to the show so you don't feel like this is, me going right into you or something. But it's always somebody brand new. So you got to be brand new because I haven't seen you before. Or at least you don't comment much. That Burrow is overrated. Overrated. He's overrated. How, bro? How, bro? We have an animation for him.
People are getting burrowed left and right, and
I have an animation. How could he be overrated? I have an animation for him. I don't understand this. How is he overrated, bro? How? This is what I'm hopeful of. And again, 1-2, please don't take this the wrong way. Super glad to have you. And we need naysayers in a positive, respectful fashion as much as we need. Yes, but I don't want a room full of yes men. That's not what I'm after. I know people think I want that, or I get all mad at someone that disagrees with me. I don't. We want differing opinions respectfully. And so I'm trying to be respectful as I say this. But how? How is he overrated? How is he overrated? I don't understand it, bro. He looks like an absolute gem. They should make a statue of him out in front of every stadium across America. This guy is the next Tom Brady in the making. I'm not saying he will win the same amount of rings, but if there's anybody that has Tom Brady's blueprint, it's Burrow. Burrow has it. Burrow's actually acting on it and executing it. Now, how far he gets along through those blueprints before his career ends, that's to be determined. That's why I say I'm not predicting he wins the same number of rings. But Joe Burrow, in my opinion, is winning a Super Bowl, his first Super Bowl right now at a very young age. When people were doubting him, I have Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow knocking off the Kansas City Chiefs, going to the Super Bowl to play either one of these two teams, but I believe it'll probably be Philadelphia. Philadelphia versus Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow. If it's the Niners, so be it. I think Joe Burrow is on a mission. He feels like the vibe can't be stopped. He just feels like we're going to be seeing his value get vaulted up. And if let's say he loses to the Chiefs in a small way, I hate the earmuffs, Joe Burrow. Put your earmuffs on, Joe. I know Joe probably watches this show because we love him so much here. Joe, put your earmuffs on. If he loses in a small way, we will all be kind of relieved because it will end the climb of his value. And while we want him to win a Super Bowl, we're also very much selfish individuals in fantasy football. Yeah, go, tackle him at the one. Like we're so selfish. We're so hard to figure out. And I acknowledge that. And part of us is going to be like, okay, God, he didn't get the Super Bowl, but at least he's not climbing from round 3 now into round 2. Maybe he goes at 3.2 now. Maybe he goes at 3.3, 3.2 if we're drafting today. If we're drafting after the Kansas City game and he wins this championship game, this AFC championship, and walks into another Super Bowl, he's going to be touted so much in the media, it's going to influence you. You know what I mean? Like if you hear me saying Burrow's the best, like you hear on this channel, it influences you to a certain degree, even if it's small, just because you hear it so much. And so if everybody's saying it on the grand stage, all media across the board, it's going to affect his ADP by everybody a little bit, and it's going to add up to him going into round 2. And we don't want that in some way, but I'd rather him have a Super Bowl. I'm less selfish, I think, when it comes to him getting a Super Bowl than probably the average fantasy player who would rather his fantasy season end right here and now so they can walk into August and not have a higher price tag. And I respect that opinion too, though. But 1-2, I don't know what you're looking at, bro. You might have the season on, like you paused it, and you might be like in week 3 right now, is my guess. Because he did struggle in weeks 1, 2, and 3, and people were petrified. A lot of petrified Peters on my own channel saying, Smitty, you told me Joe Burrow was going to be the best. He looks pretty shoddy. He's Joe Shoddy right now, not Joe Shiesty, Smitty. Why is he looking slow moving in weeks 1, 2, and 3? I didn't have an answer. I was a little confused as well. I was looking at my Moonman list going, oh boy. All right, my Marsman list. Oh boy. Why is Joe Burrow starting off slow? Boy, did he turn it on. If Joe Burrow didn't have a slow first, 3 games, he would have had 45 touchdown passes. So I'm excited. 40 plus TDs for Joseph Burrow. Real quickly, Falcon, hang tight. Rock out. What else you got to add? What else do you want to add?
If you don't have a top 5 pick in a league that's like heavy running backs, would you still go like a wide receiver approach?
Would I still go wide receiver if I what? Say it one more time.
in a league that's like heavy running back as far as the owners, would you still go wide receiver if you don't have a top 5 pick?
It's his best player available, man. I mean, and that doesn't. So many people think that I mean the top ADP guy listed. Like when I say drafted best player available, there are people literally that think that means who's the suggested player. That's not what that means at all. My drafting best player available, oftentimes I'm digging 10 players down on the recommended list, and I don't even want any of the guys. Like you're gonna have Cook and Kamara. My best player available is gonna be way down sometimes, and you got to be careful not to reach too far, because if it's like 20 picks down, you can wait till your next pick. You need to know that, like 5 to 8 picks away, that's not really a reach. You need to get your guy, but like 20 picks away, don't select Bijan if he's ranked 18 and take him number 2 overall. But like, let's say right here in round 1, you're saying a late pick. So like right here in the 11, 12 pick, that's where you're talking about running back.
Like 8 to like 12.
Okay. So if you're in round 1, you know, like I've told people, I would draft running backs like Eckler and Henry if they, for whatever reason, fell. You know, like if I draft with you guys and we talk up all these players, the sleepers, and somehow we're going to do a mock draft where Eckler is going to fall to 8, and we know in the real world he won't, but because in my circle of people, they don't want, it's just weird. People don't want to take the player I'm saying is going to potentially fall off. So I would take him. I would take him there, but he's not going to fall there. Like, of course I would take RBs there. Barkley fell to that territory. But this is assuming that Chase is gone, JJ's gone, Cooper Kupp's gone. And then after Cooper Kupp, you know, Adams is, I'd entertain Adams and Tyreek Hill and Diggs about as much as I'd entertain any running back that isn't McCaffrey, Bijan, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Austin Eckler, Barkley, maybe ETN. I can see myself going ETN and Adams. And that's a really good start. That's balanced. That feels awesome. Tyreek Hill and Tyreek Hill and ETN would be fine too. Balance is always the best way to go if it is best player available. If it's conducive to best player available, it's always the best way to go. Because if you start off with wide receiver, you will be chasing running back, and it can land perfectly for you. You could have like Gibbs and Bijan fall in some grandma league, and you got Adams and Tyreek Hill, Gibbs and Bijan, and you're walking straight to the bank. You go straight to League Safe's home office, and you go, "Give me an advance. Let me show you my team." And they go, "Yeah, that's it. We'll get you. What do you want? How much do you want in advance, bro?" But like, you can't always land that. So Adams and ETN would be really, really good. Barkley, you know, depending on where he ends up in the offseason, if he gets franchise tagged or if he returns and doesn't find the market he thinks he could find, or if he goes somewhere like Las Vegas and then Aaron Rodgers gets treated. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. The Raiders could look to get heavy and make some huge moves. I don't think they could afford Aaron Rodgers and Barkley, but you know what I'm saying. So we haven't even started the mock draft from like the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spot, but always best player available. And I could think of 100 scenarios where wide receiver makes sense, running back makes sense, running back, wide receiver makes sense. I'd probably say I have no preference here. I don't know that I'd go quarterback here, but I wouldn't rule it out either. Like, because everybody's still so against quarterback. And you got people in here even that say Burrow's overrated, and I'm going to wait on a quarterback. It doesn't matter. We're definitely, I think, have a little bit to do with changing the trend of early quarterback drafting, a little bit. But keep in mind, people are very stubborn, selfish, and they think they're know-it-alls. And the moment people start talking about early quarterback, you're going to start hearing people say things like, I think it's ridiculous to draft an early quarterback because they're just going to get the vibe that it's kind of a trend and people are going to want to buck the trend. And so we'll be safe. I think we'll be safe. You'll have no problem getting one of the big 4 quarterbacks in round 3. You could get one of them in there. I don't think all of them will go by the end of round 3, but I think we will see potentially 2 QBs in round 2 in a lot of drafts, and maybe only one. Maybe we used to have Mahomes or one quarterback like Josh Allen at the 2-3 turn, and people would make fun of that. And we, in our community, we love it. We love that they make fun of it. But I could see maybe if we don't see 2 QBs in round 2 on the regular, we could certainly see at least that one QB move up to the middle of round 2 or a little higher than the middle of round 2, like pick 14, something like that. And then the other QBs, instead of being sprinkled out through round 3 and 4, they're now all in round 3. Like, that could be the movement we're talking about. People will draft quarterback earlier now. That could be the landscape of it. 1 high second rounder and then 3 third rounders is kind of my thinking initially.
Yeah.
Which is perfect. Which is why you don't draft one at 12. You know, if you can, like, I'm not against it. I would never tell someone to take a lap at the 12, 13 turn picks if they went, let's say Barkley fell. Barkley and Josh Allen, or Barkley and Burrow, Barkley and Mahomes, Barkley and Hurts. I would not tell anybody to take a lap at all. It would be a phenomenal result if you land your 3rd round pick. But it just probably a higher likely chance you win your league by waiting until the 3rd round or the bottom of the 2nd round taking the QB, just because of the advantage that you have, and that the thinking is not affecting everybody to the point where they're all going to be gone in the 3rd round. Falcon, one last thing before I let you jump.
Yes, sir.
What else can I help you with?
I really kind of know the answers to a lot of the stuff. I just be kind of wanting some reassurance. But I guess if I could ask, would you prefer taking Chase in the 2nd round, or if you could, I said Chase, Burrow in the 2nd round, or would you prefer to have Justin Fields in the 5th or 6th round?
Okay, let me hit that 1 second. Let's see, this super chat here by Squirrel. Squirrel, you still here? First of all, I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge this with the moonshot yet. $10 holler always gets a moonshot. Appreciate you, Squirrel. Squirrel, are you still here? I'm sorry about the wait, bro. Squirrel says, picked up Javonte in my dynasty startup last year. What am I doing? What do I do going forward? I have Breece Hall and the 1.1, by the way. Squirrel, great question. Again, appreciate your super chat. Squirrel is so far the highest super chatter of the day. Thank you, Squirrel, for doing that. You spell it in a different way or anything? Okay. Squirrel's the man. Squirrel's going to round 2. Appreciate you, Squirrel. I spoke on it earlier on the show, so you might want to rewind it for at the end for tremendous detail when I first kind of talk about the Moon Man and the difference between Javonte and Breece Hall, and I go into very, very extensive detail on this exact topic on this show earlier. So I'm not saying I don't mind repeating a little bit of it, but you want extensive detail, go there because there's a lot to take in. I think until we know that the red flags are gone, red flag number 1 being his injury, and Breece Hall, we have good reports that he's coming along fast. He's ahead of schedule. He's going to be ready for camp. Like, this is not what we heard out of Barkley his first year back, which is why he was an avoid, and it was a justifiable avoid, and he ended up busting on everybody his first year back. JK, even though JK looked good at the end, Squirrel, JK was a bust. For anybody that thought they were going to get something right from the jump, and there's a lot of people that did, he busted on you. It doesn't matter how he finished or if he played good at times, he busted given the value, the cost of entry. Javonte's very much on the Barkley, and JK having a very disappointing first-year backtrack until he's not. And until we hear he is ahead of schedule, he's going to be ready to cut hardcore well before week 1, which is something that couldn't be said about JK or Barkley, and the writing was on the wall. They were going to have a horrible year, and they did. They completely busted on people that drafted. Barkley was like a top 5 pick, and he literally did nothing for the majority of the year. Bounced back on a tear last year. And I was a little cautious, admittedly. I love Barkley right now. Barkley is phenomenal. Barkley's back. ACLs can be recovered from. You just need time. You need time. and you need proof in the pudding. And you can do it in your first year if you're fully prepped and ready like Breece Hall appears to be. And so the red flag for Breece Hall is probably not going to be there come week 1. He'll be a little lesser of his explosive self because there's a lot that goes into a torn ACL. When you tear your ACL, they basically go into your patellar tendon, which is this big thing right here on top of your kneecap. Your kneecap's right there. They go into your patellar tendon and they cut a window out, a little tiny like window. Imagine cutting like a strip that looks like it's going to be your new ACL. And they cut that hole in the middle because it will kind of heal and grow over and refill in the hole, kind of like if you were to poke a hole through your tongue would kind of regenerate and close the hole. And just like if you get earrings and you take them out, it closes. So that's why they cut it in the middle of the patellar tendon. Now this is a tendon, not a ligament. It is a tendon. This is a ligament. The ACL ligament, the PCL ligament. This is a tendon. So what happens is they take that ACL, they take the old one out, they take the new ACL, which is a tendon, and they drill it in and put screws in, and they make it really tight so that it's as tight as the ACL was. Then it dies, and it turns into a harder form feel of a ligament. It turns essentially into what the ligament would feel like and act like. That all takes tremendous time. Because if you were to try and let's say they screw that sucker in and the ACL isn't in good form in enough time, it'll slip right out. You drill that in, you have screws that go in that the bone grows into the screws. It keeps a tight fit. And then kind of think about putting like a peg into a hole that's too big. And if you take a bunch of pieces of wood and hammer those pieces of wood and then wedge them in, you can eventually get it to be a tight fit by smashing things in there. That's essentially how they get the ACL in there. They screw it in like that. They make it really nice and tight. It takes time. And so a lot of these players aren't ready. They're pushing it. And when they're pushing it, you get swelling. Your knee's not used to going out there. Barkley was not ready. He was not ready. They went out there. He barely cut it all before week 1. And then you just get swelling because your knee gets traumatized going out there. Your meniscus isn't prepared anymore for the hard cutting. Everything, just like when you haven't run for a long time, you go out and run and you're sore after. There's so much that goes into it. So bottom line is this. Javonte Williams, light years behind Breece Hall in my mind. Currently, that could change. Offensively, even without a quarterback in New York, I think I'm more worried about Denver with Russell Wilson than I am the unknown of the New York Jet quarterback, because that situation is so good it lures in a really good quarterback in my mind. If they bring in a horrible quarterback, or let's say they go with Zach Wilson again, I still like Breece Hall a lot, but I will adjust a little bit my expectation level, and we'll go over that then. But thank you, Squirrel, for the super chat. Appreciate you. As for your question, Falcon, you would ask me, do I prefer drafting Burrow in round, was it 2 or 3? What was your scenario? Fields in 5 or Burrow in what round?
Was Burrow in the 2nd and Fields in the 5th or 6th.
Okay. I don't think Fields lasts to round 6, so we're going to put Fields in 5. So Fields in 5 or Burrow at the 2-3 turn, let's say. It's you got to compare apples to apples, and we can't really do that unless we have another player injected into this. Thank you, Rise. Appreciate you. Unless we have the 2 for 2, like the 2 players. Like if you take Burrow here, then who is the Fields owner taking here? And if you take Burrow, if they take Fields here, who are you taking here? So we have to compare the 2 for 2, because at the end of the day, it does nothing to speculate and say, oh well, quarterbacks are falling later, I can get a quarterback later. Great, good for you. Good for you. If you want to wait on a quarterback and get a quarterback later because there are quarterbacks later, that is a clear, correct statement. There are quarterbacks that will be had later. Then that's good for you. But if you can land Kenneth Walker, if you can land Breece Hall, if you can land ETN in the place of the quarterback, where people are drafting their quarterback, and your running back can rival a Dalvin Cook over here, then your Burrow and let's say Gibbs in round 5, or Charbonnet. If you give me Charbonnet or Gibbs with Burrow, that beats Fields and Dalvin Cook, who I think busts. So it really does depend on who you get in your 2-for-2 comparison, apples to apples comparison. And I believe 8 times out of 10, I'll be better off, especially the earlier you draft. The later you draft, the more Charbonnet's not going to be there in round 5. The later you draft, the more chance Gibbs won't even be in round 4 anymore. He'll be at the top of round 3 because people are going to be so amped about his landing spot. And then people like me creating video and content that trickles down. And before you know it, it's just an infection where everybody's starting to think, okay, I keep hearing Gibbs. And then you start mock drafting and we start moving them up. So the earlier you draft, if you're in Dynasty, for example, all their values would be slightly different, obviously, but you're going to get value, really good value right now, and you might not get that value later. But if you can give me Charbonnet at this Fields location, give me Burrow in round 2 over any round 2 running back, because Hall will be gone, Bijan will be gone, unless Bijan falls, and that's where best player available kicks in. When you're on the clock and Burrow's there, my determining factor is one of those running backs available. Did Bijan stupidly fall to my 2nd round pick? If he did, I'm going to scoop him up and try and get, a Burrow later. And if I don't get Burrow later, let's say he doesn't fall to round 3, I'll take Jalen Hurts there. If I don't get Jalen Hurts, I'll go Josh Allen or Mahomes. If I don't get Josh Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, or any of my top 4 quarterbacks in round 3, then I will take Fields in 4 or 5 and be glad about it because I got Bijan in the late 2nd round, which he shouldn't have been there. But Burrow and Gibbs, Burrow and Charbonnet, Burrow and any other player, let's just call it Christian Watson or whatever, is better than going wide receiver. Let's use Christian Watson. Let's say Christian Watson goes right where Fields is going. Okay, so I get Burrow and I get Christian Watson right where Fields is going. The person that gets Fields where Christian Watson is going goes wide receiver in round 2. Who do they get? What wide receiver is going to be there? It's not going to be Adams. It's not going to be Hill or anybody above that. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be maybe a Jalen Waddle, a Garrett Wilson, a St. Brown? All guys I like. But give me Christian Watson over that wide receiver if the difference is getting my quarterback that I believe is the QB1. And maybe someone likes Hurts more, and that's fine too. Use Hurts. Don't use the player, use the process. If it's Hurts, then it's Hurts. If it's Mahomes, it's Mahomes. If it's Josh Allen, it's Josh Allen. You don't have to use Burrow if you're watching right now and you don't like Burrow for whatever weird reason. Then use the quarterback you love. Use Hurts. Would you rather have Hurts and Christian Watson or Fields and another wide receiver? It could be very, very comparable too, to the point where it's okay, that's even. Fields and let's just say Garrett Wilson. You take Garrett Wilson there. Fields and Garrett Wilson could be comparable to Mahomes and let's call it a Christian Watson type player. It could be comparable. Very, very close. I don't think anybody's taking a lap on their approach. There's 100,000 ways to win. And you just got to, at every single pick, the key is at every single pick, reset your mind and your thinking and say, is this the best player available? And if the answer to that is yes, then you're making the right draft selection. That's in round 2, let's say. You get to round 3, reset your mind. It sounds so cliche and simple, but people don't do it. How many times, Falcon, have you drafted a player and the minute you drafted, you said, why did I take him? How many times does that happen? It happens all the time, right?
It's happened a few times, but I've watched this show so much that I'm pretty confident when I draft.
Nice. But everybody's been there, where they're they're sitting there and they're, I need an RB though. I'm gonna take Cook. I don't like Cook, but I gotta have an RB. I'm gonna go Cook. You draft Cook and you're like, oh yeah. So
and
that's why
I'm so good.
You what?
I'm so good at manipulating my league to thinking a player is worth more than they are. And I'm just really good at my sales pitch. Sometimes I'll plant a seed in somebody, and a week later I'll come back and bite them on it. Yeah, you're going to see that and obviously you know a lot about that already, but you guys are all going to see that in my video courses. How to essentially plant a seed is the topic. Planting a seed is such a crucial way to a down the road trade. Like if you want to grow flour, you can't
plant the seed and like start over watering it, and then you kill it, and you just like, you're sitting there, you just pour water on it all day, turn the hose on. Why isn't it growing? Why isn't it growing? You got to treat a trade sometimes like planting a seed. You got to plant a seed, and if you plant enough of them, you don't get impatient. You know what I mean? Like if I was just doing one trade, let's say Falcon, I wanted to get Breece Hall from you, and I wanted to plant some kind of weird seed, you know, and I planted that seed. Oh, yeah, like, you know, the quarterback situation is really shoddy. You know, I don't even have anybody yet. You know, what's that going to do to Breece Hall? And I plant that seed and I walk away. It's really hard for me to wait a week or two to come back around and try and see if that fermented with you and started shaping your mind. And you start, you know, but like if you're planting seeds all day long, like if you plant 8 seeds, you know, it's kind of like waiting for one Amazon package. You got one Amazon package coming and it says will arrive in 2 days. It seems like forever. But if you have like 5 orders out, it's like one comes every day, and you're like, you don't even really think about which order they're coming in. It's the same thing. You put enough seeds out there, you start to be less impatient with it, but it's so critical in trade negotiation. You have to know when to hold back on pushing something, and sometimes you can just literally drop something, come back, drop something else, come back, and then before you know it, they don't even like Breece Hall anymore. And you're like, how did this happen? I know how this happened. I planted a seed and I kept watering it from afar. So exactly right. You obviously know a little about that already, so you're gonna enjoy that content. But everybody else that wants to be better at trade negotiation, this is for you. All right, Falcon, last comments. The show's ending. I'm sticking to a strict schedule for the most part in the off season so I could get more content out. Our show. What do you have to say, Falcon?
I just want to give a quick shout out to my 16-year-old Micah, who within the last hour did the laundry, did the dishes, vacuumed downstairs, and is now taking care of both the toddlers while I'm on the phone.
Congratulations.
Hey.
That's a well trained situation you got there. All right, Falcon, appreciate you. Falcon out.
Appreciate you guys. Peace.
Later. Rock out. Final words. Final words. Rock out.
I want to say this is like the best show in sports. Always bring good content. That a boy.
Appreciate you, Rock out. Thanks for calling in, my guy.
Yep.
All right, later, pal.
See ya.
I'm live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Every single Monday through Friday, your boy is live for you. I work for you. This show was killer. This show was jam-packed. We did it in an hour. I think an hour is a good, nice little amount of time that makes it easy to digest the whole show every day instead of an hour and a half, 2-hour show. And you're like, I mean, we do that during the season because we have so many super chats. But I think during the off season, it allows me to get out more content too. I think I'm gonna be able to really try hard to get that Moon Man out. Maybe it's like a midnight drop or ends up premiering in the very early morning. But Moon Man number 9 will be up tonight or tomorrow. Moon Man number 10 will be up before the weekend. Whoa. Weekend before the weekend. Moon Man number 10 will be up before the weekend's over. So we'll have 10 Moon Men up. Right now we have 8.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
And we'll have 10 by the end of the weekend. We've got the Mars Men.
He's on a shuttle to Mars, Mars Men, and off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
Make sure you're following me on both channels. This is the main channel, the Fantasy Football Show. The second channel is the Dynasty Fantasy Football channel. So youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. The link I'll drop right now. Please subscribe to that. We're over 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. And I'm going to start dropping daily content. I'm going to try not to miss a day. It's just getting into that groove. It's been hard coming back from vacation to drop that on top of everything I'm trying to catch up on. But my point is to really emphasize dropping a show every single day on the Dynasty channel. So please subscribe to that. The link is in the live chat pinned. It's also in the description of every video if you're watching. Every single show pretty much is on Spotify video. And all you got to do is go on your Spotify app, the same app that you listen to songs on, and you search for me and it'll pull up video. Every show is a video show on Spotify. We had over 400 episodes on Spotify last year. Please give it a full star review. Please click the follow button so we get more followers on Spotify. It's just search for The Fantasy Football Show on Spotify. Or if you go to thefantasyfootballshow.com, at the top little left corner area right here at the very, very, very left top, you'll see the links to my podcast, Apple Podcasts, everything. So we had over 400 episodes on Spotify last year, and we have over 30 of them already in January. So get on over there. TheFantasyFootballShow.com is where you get all your content, your bold predictions, your rankings, your one-on-one text advice with your boy Smitty. I'll text it, go back and forth through trade negotiations with you and all that. TheFantasyFootballShow.com. I will see you all potentially tonight for Moonman Numero 9. I will see you all later. And thank you for the super chats. Is Squirrel, right? Dropping the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Squirrel. Thank you, Big O. Thank you, Tayef. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Mealy. Thank you, Mitch and Marty and Fake Ty Lee and Swaggy and Terry Roberts. Rock out. Ron Navy, if he's still in here. Sam, Big O. Mitch, we'll see you later, pal. Peanut Butter and Waivers. Gary V, appreciate you. Fake Gary V. Mr. Bakes, a lot. Appreciate you. Ozzy's in the house. Sandu's in the house. Science is in the house. Appreciate you. Hot Prime. I'm sorry if I'm never lies. Silver Rapture in the building. Silver, appreciate you, Silver. Give me T-Law on the 7th. What's up, Silver? Appreciate you. Hopefully you're still here. Squirrel. Sorry again about the delay, Squirrel. See you all later. Jarrett, appreciate you. Terry Roberts on patrol. Silver Rapture. Later, Silver. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Jarrett. Watch the replay. Get it on. Peace out.
People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are going to remember it.
Get burrowed.
You are offer sex. You are made offer sex.